Chris with 6 for 93. Mackin 5 for 80 and a touch. Tredante Hill, 2 receptions, 18 yards. Stephen Short, the tight end, 2 receptions for 18 yards as well. Christian Fulham had 6 punts for the Mounties, and inside the 20, he had 3 of those. I can go on and on with what happened on the offensive side, but the big performance was by the defense. Unfortunately, does not show in the final score, 28-24. But the Mount SAC defense just held strong throughout the night, and if it wasn't for their defense holding the RCC Tigers to field goal opportunity after field goal opportunity, this would have been a much higher score and a much lopsided game than the final score shows.
Well, for RCC, they have a big matchup next week at Long Beach City College to potentially decide who wins the National Central Conference. And for Mount SAC, they're probably going to win out against LA Harbor and El Camino. Obviously, it's going to be tough to keep practicing at the same intensity, but you got to know that technically, numbers-wise, your season is not over yet. You got the game at home next week against LA Harbor. That's the final game potentially at Hilmer Lodge until a couple of seasons. Then you got El Camino on the road to close out the regular season. Then you have your bye week, a week in which RCC and Long Beach both play. LBCC will face off against El Camino at home, and RCC will finish their regular season here against Chaffey College. But if you're the Mounties, you'll probably simply be scoreboard watching that final weekend to see what your fate is. Because here's the thing. The fortunate thing for Mount SAC is that RCC and LBCC match up next week. One of those teams is going to come away with their, well, if it's RCC, it's their first loss. If it's LBCC, it's their second. So the Mounties got to become big RCC fans next week, because that's the only hope for the Mounties to get into the postseason.
Postseason or not for the Mounties, you know, the defense for this team, I can't say it enough.
Well, it's a shame that this team might not participate.
Listen to these numbers, Chris. 170 rushing yards allowed. 170. 117 passing yards allowed. And might I add, their star wideout, guess how many receptions Isaac Whitney had?
He had 0.
0. Total offense and yards for Riverside, 287. Just to give you a comparison, Mount SAC had 437. So nothing short of brilliant for the defensive unit. Unfortunately for the Mounties tonight, they come up short.
You look at the stats. Numbers aren't everything. But, and as cliche as it sounds, Brian, Riverside didn't win this game. Mount SAC lost it.
Yeah. No.
Flat out. I'm sure Coach Kraft would tell you that as well. This is the second time the Mounties have blown a fourth quarter lead, a sizable double-digit fourth quarter lead. The lead was 12 at Long Beach. It was 11 here. They couldn't hold on. The turnovers bit them.
No matter how you slice it up, it is another crucial loss this time against RCC, and matching up against Long Beach and RCC, the two top teams. You want to have your two top performances, and unfortunately for the Mounties, they come up short here against RCC at Wheelock Stadium, trying to break that unbeaten streak here at Wheelock Stadium. Just ended up short, and unfortunately, we'll see how they bounce back. A lot of emotion and effort into this game. See if they can hang on to that and really hone and take out their aggression. Remember, they bounced back after a Long Beach loss and absolutely hammered Grossmont 52-7.
I'll probably see the same thing next week.
52-7. A Grossmont team that beat Riverside this year.
College football, it's a funny thing. Anything can happen on any given night, and tonight it was just not the Mounties' night. The winning streak for RCC matches their point total tonight. 28 now in a row here at Wheelock Stadium for the Tigers. They beat the Mounties 28-24. Be sure to join us next week as the Mounties are back home for their home finale to take on the LA Harbor Seahawks. That's all we have for you tonight on the Mountie Football Radio Network. A final score, 28-24. Riverside gets it done, and the Mounties drop their second contest of the season. For Brian Tabajay, I'm Chris Sylvester. Good night.